When would you not use your phone for photography? And I think this is a good question to kind of start off with. When would you not be using it? I'll put here good from far, but far from good. So it's if you're wanting to take photographs and print them out in a gallery, and you're wanting to have them, crystal sharp with detail up close. If you're like going in a gallery and you're looking up close, that's when you don't want to be using your phone for photography, because the sensor size and the amount of pixels on that sensor is not going to support that.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nik Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. So I have waiting in the wings, Kyle Spyrides from over in Western Australia. I think it's quite early over there. I know for some people in New Zealand, it's a bit later. It's about 9 o'clock over there. But was it about 4 o'clock over your way, Kyle, or 4:30?
Yeah, 4 p.m.
4 p.m. So he's in the afternoon,
yeah.
Almost ready for a glass of wine or a beer, I'm sure. So it's that
yes.
sort of time of day. But here he is spending his time with us today. So Kyle is the owner of Soul Gazing Photography. He is a professional photographer. He's got a great story about how he got into it. In fact, I think his story is on his wall behind him on his Zoom screen. So he really focuses in on capturing the soul and essence of people in photography so that you don't just get a photo of someone, you actually get a story in behind it. So he's a visual storyteller as well too. I've seen some of his work, absolutely sensational. If you go to his website, some really great stuff. And in fact, if you go to his Instagram feed, there's a whole lot of stuff there. So if you want some inspiration about how to create good photographs and take good photographs, that's a great place to go. He's got an interesting thing here too. He's got a time capsule venture, which I'm really curious about as well too. So I remember time capsules when I was at primary school. We had to put things into a time capsule and bury it for someone to dig up, and in 100 years' time, after we're no longer in this living sphere. So I can't remember what I put in my time capsule, but it'd be interesting to dig it up now just to find out. So, but without further ado, let's give a big round of applause for Kyle Spyrides. The floor is yours.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Thank you for an awesome introduction. And good evening, folks. Good to see so many of you here from far and wide. Yes, so my story in photography started in school, actually. And I think for a lot of people, we kind of get that first experience of something at school. It's kind of like that taster. We might not enjoy school, or we might just barely put up with school. But oftentimes we look back at our lives and we go, actually, I got into this from my first little taster of it at school. So we had art class, and I wanted to pick something pretty easy. And I looked around. I went, okay, I can't really paint. I can't really draw. I don't know how good my sculpting skills are. Even though I'm Greek, I don't think I'm quite the sculptor. So I went, all right, let me take some photos. And luckily enough, I had my beautiful grandparents, which they're the people in the image behind me, and they're the people who raised me. They got me a little camera. They believed in me, and I went on about my day, and I went and took some photographs. And that was the sort of start to my sort of photography career. And it started off very much like a self-expression. So trying to work out like what photography meant to me, what I liked, what I enjoyed. And then eventually, years later, I had people believe in me and say, why don't you do this as a career? And I just laughed. I thought, what do you mean photography as a career? That's not real. And, I think being indoctrinated and being very critical and kind of having my own thoughts of, this is a real job, that's not a real job, I kind of hesitated to jump in. But luckily enough, I had people in my corner to even make me aware that my uncle was a photographer back in, and I was in Ireland at the time, and people that were telling me, I said, your uncle back in Australia, he's a professional photographer. So went home, had a chat to him, went and did the course that he suggested, and then that's how I kind of went into the professional realm of photography. So I am professionally trained, and that course was one of the top courses in Australia. Really what it was though was kind of having a studio hire, having professional photographers hired out for a year so that you could have a taster of all different elements. Because to learn, about photography, like anything, it's got such a deep knowledge basis. So you can go deep with macro photography or nature photography or landscape photography. So it was just about getting a bit of a taster of all of it. And so I thought I was going to be a landscape photographer until people said, you got to start making money with it if you want to keep it as a long career. And then that's what got me into doing business and branding photography. And as Nik said, I focus on capturing the story. So rather than just capturing, here's a shot of you and your products, I try and go a bit deeper and the story behind it. And tonight I'm going to kind of show you how you can go a little bit deeper and how you can use the device you have on hand, because it doesn't really matter what the gear is. A lot of us get kind of caught up in the gear, but it's really about how we use that gear that really counts. So without further ado, let's get this party started. All right. And here we go. So we are loading. So this presentation follows a course that I've created, and the course came about as a lot of, obviously through 2020, I wasn't able to service a lot of clients every single week, and a lot of clients were wanting to take photographs of their products and photographs at home, and so I found a digital online way to kind of help them out with tips, with ways that they can set up their products, ways that they can bring natural lighting in. So that's the basis of this course and this presentation. So let me not be computer illiterate. Oh no. Give me a second here, Nik. Okay. See if that works. Okay, so when would you not use your phone for photography? And I think this is a good question to kind of start off with. When would you not be using it? I'll put here good from far, but far from good. So it's if you're wanting to take photographs and print them out in a gallery, and you're wanting to have them, crystal sharp with detail up close. If you're like going in a gallery and you're looking up close, that's when you don't want to be using your phone for photography, because the sensor size and the amount of pixels on that sensor is not going to support that. Now, think about, in saying that, think about billboards. Billboards are a far way away, and there's been photographs with iPhones. That's been a iPhone campaign for a long while, shot on an iPhone, and it's on a billboard. But that's because of your perception. You're quite a distance away. So that's number one, when you're not going to use your phone taking photographs. Number two is obviously critical images. So if you're, photographing a bride, if you're, taking images where it's, this is a headshot that's going in for an award, that's when you might be looking for a professional's touch. And at the very least, you're looking to speak to a professional to kind of guide you along the way. And then the other one is, motion. So like a shot like this with the background, it's motion is quite hard to take photographs with your phone. So that's where you kind of might spend plenty of time practicing. Now, the rest of the presentation is why not get into photography with your phone. So the importance of, having a digital presence online is that your first impressions in 2020 are going to be online. People are going to see you first time online, whether they're meeting you. They're going to, I've gone to meetings and people say, I checked out, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, this and that. And you just go, wow, they've spent, a good 20, 30 minutes checking you out online before they see you. So that's where it's important to have your first impressions online and have a good quality first impression online with good quality imagery. And the question you got to ask is, what digital impression am I choosing to leave behind? And this can be, if you haven't been posting recently, person can think, this business isn't operating anymore. Maybe they're struggling, those sorts of things. If you're posting not very quality images, then they might think that you don't take your business seriously. And that's the first impression a lot of times when you go on websites, is are they taking their business seriously with the quality of their imagery? So let's make sure that works. So images move people. And the incredible thing about today, thanks to, for many years, thanks to Steve Jobs, we have the power in our pocket. We have the power in our pocket to move people. We have the power in our pocket to inspire. In the last few years, we've seen videos, photos captured with that camera phone that have, exploded online, on Twitter, that have changed the opinions of cultures. So it's really, really important to utilize that power. And, as a business coach told me a little while ago, was before you're looking at all your other marketing strategies to kick off, look at the money that you may be leaving on the table, by not utilizing these things. So look at the resources that you have in your hands, on your fingertips. So this is where I would really implore you to get excited, get curious, and learn of how you can take better photographs. So I've got two images here. And just to kind of express the power of imagery, the gentleman with the spiky hair, Alan, he took a photograph of him many years ago. And that photograph, white background, he put it on his business card. And that photograph, people still come to him today and say, I got your business card, and the image of you on your business card, I felt all this trust. I felt like I could trust you with my back, chiropractor, I could trust you with my health, I could trust you. And that's what brought people into his business for such a long time. This image of my grandfather, when he passed away, I was over in Sydney looking after him, and my family said, where's that photograph of Clivey? Where is that photograph? And I said, well, it's on a hard drive on the West Coast across the Nullarbor. I can't source that image up for you. So, but they said, we need that image. I said, well, I can't get it. I'll try and see if I could get someone to send it across. And it was so important to the family because that image spoke to them of Clivey. That image made them feel like he was there with them. That was the image that they wanted to remember him by. And that's the power that I'm talking about with imagery. You really can capture, you can capture the soul. And as Nik kind of shared in my intro, I'm about capturing the heart and soul, diving a little bit deeper. And for me, one of the ways that I captured this image and why I focused on capturing the heart and soul was that I worked out in my first portfolio that I was putting together, that if you sit with someone long enough and you have a conversation with them long enough and you chat to them, bit by bit, over time, they will just slowly take away the veils that they put up, the pretense, the professional sort of aura, or the, how they want to kind of present themselves on the outside. And you keep talking to them, and you invite them into themselves. And there's a split second, I believe, where they go deep within themselves and they show their soul on the outside. And then that was the moment that I wanted to capture. So that was the purpose of capturing the soul and the essence. And, with a grandfather, like grandparents and young kids, it might take a short amount of time. And with teenagers, they've got a big sort of guard protecting them. And so to dive deeper and undercover those layers, it might take 2 hours. But that was my project. So some of the numbers, some of the data, you've heard a lot of some people might call it woo-woo, but you've heard a lot of the softer side behind why. But some of the data. So people, the retention rates of hearing information, so someone telling you information, so the percentage of you remembering that 3 days later is at 10%. That same information paired with relevant images has a retention rate of 65% 3 days later. So just think of that, that's a huge gap. So anytime that you can write a blog and put relevant images, you can, do a post and put a relevant image and synchronize them together, you're creating content that is going to stick in that person's mind. And they're going to go out about their day. And when that problem arises, they're going to more likely remember you because you have visual content there. So I thought that was a huge number. And that same number of 65% is a portion of the population who are visual learners. And they're the people that need to see it before they believe it. They need to see it before they can, you have lovely text, you've gone and sourced a copywriter, you've got lovely graphics, you've got lovely web design, Nik sorted you out all these resources. But they need to see the visual images of, wow, I can trust this person. They look genuine. Look at them helping someone else. I can see them in that position helping me. So that's the importance of images. Images rank as the most critical content type ahead of text and video, which is a stat that I found quite interesting. And this one is huge. Articles with relevant images get 94% more views on average compared to articles without images. So I hope that sinks in next time you're thinking of doing a blog or some reach out. So all the chatter, how do you actually create quality imagery? Lucky you, photography is much like anything. There is a 3-step formula. Step number 1, we learn. Step number 2, we practice. And step number 3, we implement. So we're going to learn 3 key elements to give you confidence with your camera phone. And that's what I want at the end of the day, for you to walk away from this presentation, actually have confidence to go out there and start practicing. Because really nothing like the hours you put into taking images will teach you how to be better and will actually get you better results. So it's really one of those things where you have to really train the muscle and put in a lot of time. So we're going to learn 3 key elements to give you confidence, which is hold it like a pro, so you can drop it like it's hot. The principles of a great photograph, and move to the moment. So turn on your content capturing data. So be able to be present, aware, and punch it when you've got that moment to capture. All right. So this is, let me just move this out of the way. I don't know if that's in the way. So to avoid blurry images and poorly framed shots, as Nik was saying, where you've got heads chopped off, you've got, and I've seen wedding albums with people's heads chopped off and feet chopped off and all the like. So to avoid terrible framing and blurry images, it really comes down to your position and your posture. So you might just think of it, I'm taking a photo like that, and lots of people taking photographs like selfies like that. There's actually a lot more. It's about bringing it back to the core. So step 1 is to bring your elbows into your body to have a strong supported frame. So you can see 2 images here down the bottom. One is, and night shots are particularly difficult. So if you want to take shots of the sunset, if you have your camera phone out and away from your body, you're more likely to cause shake when you press the button, and you're going to get blurry images. So that's where you want to bring your elbows to your hips, elbows to your ribs. You want to bring your frame into your body, and you want to be able to hold the camera and press the button. And you're trying to not cause too much shake in the phone, because a phone is not like a camera. A camera has a bit more heaviness to it. So when you press the button, the spring of the shutter, it's not going to cause too much shake. But a phone, it's quite a flimsy bit of gear when you compare the two. So we've got our elbows into our body, we've got that center of gravity, that core, we're utilizing that, and then it's how we hold it. So if you're going portrait mode, you have your right hand, if you're right-handed, or if you're left-handed, it's your left hand. So you have that holding the camera, and where your pinky is, where the bottom of your palm is, that's where the bottom of the phone should be. And then you have your other hand underneath it. So you can see in this image here, we're supporting it. It's kind of like we're cupping it. We're cupping the phone. And then you use your left thumb to press the shutter button. So that left thumb is going to press the shutter button so that we can take the photograph without pushing the, without moving the camera too hard. So there we go. And the other frame, if you're going landscape, over here, you're holding the phone again like that, and you've got your pinky. So your pinky comes out. And let me get my phone actually to show you. So you have your hand like that, okay, and then your pinky comes out, and the pinky goes underneath the phone. So it goes underneath the phone. So that's kind of like acting like a tripod. So that pinky is holding it, and you've got your hand, and again, it's like cupping the phone. Then you bring your left hand, you're going with your dominant hand, your right hand. So if you're right-handed, you're holding the phone in your right hand. If you're left-handed, you're holding it in your left hand. Then you bring the hand underneath, right, to support your palm. So you bring your hand underneath. It's not touching the phone, it's touching the right hand, and it's supporting the palm. And then again, you're going to use your thumb to press the shutter button. So you can see in this bottom image here. And the reason you're holding like that and using your thumb is that instead of holding the phone up and clicking at it, you're pretty much attacking the shutter button with your index finger. You're not going to cause a lot of shake by actually cupping the phone and touching the shutter button very gently. You're just moving your thumb very gently to touch the shutter button. And that's definitely going to show up when you're taking, like I said, night images, sunset images, sunrise images. And that's the best technique for getting steady shots, avoiding blurry shots, and framing images up nicely. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to do this in every circumstance. If something's rushing by, you're trying to get an eagle swooping past you, you're not going to be able to use this sort of setup. But this is the ideal way to prepare yourself for an image. So has everyone had a practice how to go with that with their phone? Yep. Thumbs up if we're happy to move on. Beauty. Cool. All right. So the next thing we're going to focus on is photography principles. Now, there's going to be 3 photography principles that we're going to focus on. One second. I'm not getting this. There we go. Okay. So, composition and rule of thirds. Now, for an easy way to make your image more compelling, so if you've got, a coffee cup, or a product or something that you're trying to advertise, if you've got someone's portrait, an easy way to make it compelling is to shift the point of interest slightly off center. And so the point of interest is what you choose. So if the product that you're trying to advertise or, show as that's where I want the viewers to look at is a coffee cup, that's your point of interest. You want to have that off center. And you can see here that I've got the grids up to kind of show you where center is. So step 1, go into your camera settings, and you can see down the bottom here, it says grid lines. So you're looking for your grid lines. Now your grid lines, you can choose a bunch of different options. I suggest the 9 grid line, which is the 9 boxes. So it's 3 by 3 across the frame. This is, pretty standard in most cameras, and this really helps you to have a look, and it really helps you to practice, train that muscle of, okay, I've got enough headroom here, I've got enough room down the bottom, so actually framing your images up and not cutting off foreheads and legs. Okay, so that's the 9 grid option in your camera settings. And then step 3 would be to source your point of interest. So that's where you decide. And one of the easy ways to decide is what's grabbing my eye in this shot. So in the top shot here, we've got her hand. She's grabbing sticky notes. For this client, that's where she wanted the focus. She actually wanted to be blurred out. So focusing on that, and that's where we put her hand on the corner of the center box. So that's the best spot. So you've got 4 corners in the center box. You want to put the point of focus on one of those centers, or one of those corners. So what is grabbing your eye? Look for that thing that's grabbing your eye and try and put that on the corner. And for some images, you'll try that and it might not look right. So you can go back to a different frame. But that's just a good way to kind of to get started with framing up an image. A lot of people just go, yep, click, bang, look at my shot. Do you like it? No, not really. So this is a great way to actually start making images a little bit more interesting. If you look at these images, if they were all dead center, they wouldn't be as interesting. So position the point of interest with one of the corners in the middle box, and then take the shot. That's step number 5. Now, bonus tip. This is so that we don't sever this. So we talked about chopping their heads off, but another annoying point can be actually putting the head in the middle of the horizon. And that just creates an image that your eye just doesn't enjoy. So, whether it's having trees, growing out of the person's head, or having the horizon that, cutting their head in half, it just doesn't look good. So you can see in this image, she's got enough water around her, and then the Perth city skyline is above her head. That's what we want. That's ideal. Over here, same thing with the ocean. I went up a little bit. So this is where you change your perspective. You either go up or you go down, and you can change where they fit into the background. If you go up, you're going to get more sea. Okay. If you go down, you're going to get more sky. But you're just trying to avoid that horizon cutting through the center of them, because that really it's such a subtle thing, but it really degrades the quality of your image. Alrighty. All right, so photography principle number 2, leading lines. Now, leading lines, you can see here, it starts, this one with the metallic soldier from old times. You can see the flags leading up to him are the leading line. And it starts from the edge of the edge of the frame. That's a really good way to actually start using leading lines, is you're cutting something off with the edge of the frame. So that naturally causes some sort of interest. And our eye either goes straight to the soldier, or it goes straight down the bottom to where the flags are. And for me, it goes straight down to the bottom to the flags, and then it leads up to the soldier. Okay. And then obviously got the flags on the other side that also lead up to the soldier. So you can see, if you just came back and took a photo of the soldier and the flags were somewhere in the bottom of the corner of the frame, and they weren't really cut off, it wouldn't create that same sort of interest. Because we've cut that off there, we've got that interest, and you're using the elements in your composition to actually take your viewer on a journey. And that's where it gets exciting. You're directing, it's kind of like, a website, you're directing the viewer of where you want them to go, where you want them to click next. With this, you're directing them where you want them to look, telling them, hey, look over here, follow the flags up to the top. Here again, the image down the bottom, you've got these cracks, okay? These cracks in the glass, all right? That's actually the favelas in Rio de Janeiro, so that's Brazil. So sneaky image of the guard taking us down the little tram, and just the scratches and the marks in the glass kind of lead you to his expression on his face. It's very subtle. And then over here with the containers as well, same sort of thing. Let me move this, okay? And generally, now this one, it doesn't have a point of focus. So you've got you're being led around the frame, right? But it's not too bad, because you're kind of focusing on the frame, and you can see there's depth, there's contrast. But generally, what you want to do with leading lines is you want to lead them to a point of focus. So again, you know how we said with the rule of thirds, put that point of focus on one of the corners. Leading lines, have the leading lines lead to the point of focus. So whatever you're trying to advertise, okay? Some homework for this principle is to study artworks, because they very seldom ignore this rule. Artworks really utilize leading lines, whether it's a valley, whether it's a skyline, whether it's a couple of birds leading to a shrine, whatever it is, they really use leading lines well. All right. How am I going for time, Nick? Okay, cool. All right. Here we go. Keeping it exciting with the slides.
So, mate, you're about halfway there, so you're good. Plenty of time.
Cool. Easy, beauty. How are we going so far? We feeling the energy? Woo! Okay. All right, all good. Just wanted to check in. So now this is the final principle. So looking here, this is a important little graphic. You've got to have these 3 elements on point if you want to create photographic perfection. And many photographers will tell you this. They've got a portfolio that extends. They've got hard drives full of photographs. But there's only a handful of images that are really those images that grab people's attention. And it's really great with photography, because it is such a visual medium where you can actually have people pointing you to which the greatest photographs are. Now, people have different opinions. They'll say, I prefer that one than this one. But most of the time, if you keep getting the similar comments, people telling you why that image is so powerful to them, or what they get out of that image. And different people will get different things out of the same exact image. That's steering you to an image where you've got that photographic perfection. So photographic perfection is the trio of composition, subject, and lighting. So the right composition, whether we're using leading lines, whether we're using those rule of thirds, right? Subject. So that's the main point of the photograph, where it's the person, whether it's the animal, whether it's the mountain range, whatever the subject, the point of focus, remember? And then lighting. Now lighting we didn't touch on as much, but lighting is definitely one of those next level, the next steps of really taking brilliant photography. And a lot of times you hear good lighting or bad lighting, or I need to go by the window and get some nice lighting. Now that helps you, but there's ways that you can use lighting to actually make someone look 20 years younger and 20 kilos lighter, like with contouring. And there's also ways you can use lighting to tell a story in an image. You can see this image on the right, shot very dark. If that image was shot very light, you might think things like airy, energetic. It's shot very dark here, and it's a very little bit of light touching her left eye, and she's a teenager. So you might think, some of the dark times in teenager, life, or some of the compression of anxiety and emotions in a teenager's experience, So that's what that kind of tells. It can tell a different story. With this shot here, we're using the flash shot behind the leaves. So there's another pair of leaves. So you can see it's behind his head, but there's another set of like tree and leaves that we've put in front, and then we've put the flash behind. And then the flash behind creates this pattern on his face. And it kind of creates like a jungle, wild sort of vibe, So the way that you use lighting can really affect the way that the image is perceived, and it affects the story that you're telling. So the composition, subject, and lighting. If you get everything nailed, and it's not, photography is not a rule of, okay, I need to have this type of composition, this type of subject, and this type of lighting. No, that's the creative freedom. That's up to you to choose. But if you've got really quality composition, amazing lighting that helps to tell the story or helps to bring out the story, and the subject is on point, or it's an amazing subject, or it's the right subject, then you can create photographic perfection. All right, so that is the point of that. Now, in order to get present, because to create that photographic perfection, we need to be present in the moment. Now, this is where it goes a little bit beyond all the technical stuff. There's a few things that I use sometimes when I'm taking photographs. One of them is the breathing technique. I'm sure we've all been exposed to some sort of breathing technique. Quite simply, I'll breathe in for 7 seconds. I'll hold it for 8 seconds, and then I'll breathe out for 9 seconds. And I'll do that a few times. And what that does is it just gets me present in the moment. We're so busy. We've got so many distractions. We've got so many things that we're doing in our day. But if we're wanting to take some nice shots, that breathing technique can get us present, okay? And what that does is it actually raises our awareness in the moment. Another thing is a locational. Now, I don't know who came up with this originally, but a locational basically is taken in your environment. So if you're in the street, if you're in a cafe, so if you're in a cafe taking photographs of a coffee, maybe you've got your book, you just published your book and you wanted to take it in a cafe environment, and you're not sure where to set it up, right? And you're about to go on a photographic excursion. You're about to go on a photographic journey, okay? Before you go, you can do a locational, which basically all it is paying attention to the elements around you. So how locational works is you go, look at that coffee cup. Okay, so your eyes look at the coffee cup. In your mind, you're saying, look at that coffee cup. You say, okay. Then you move on to the next thing. Look at the register. Okay. Look at the plate. Okay. Look at the glass. Okay. And you go through this. I do about 20 to 25 elements, and it raises your awareness again. It allows you to become more aware of your environment, because you think about it, you're going around in your day and you're taking in so many visual images, right? So much information your brain is taking. And your brain's not taking all of that and putting it in its database and saying, we're just going to keep that. it's scouring through. It's going, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. It's the same reason when you buy a red car and you see red car everywhere, because your brain has importance to that red car you bought, right? And so the way that your brain's filtering through things. So if you want to get the best image in the moment, right, before you shoot, I suggest doing the breathing technique and a locational. Now, the third thing that's really important, and this is a concept that took me quite a while to learn, which is funny, but is to see and not look. So look is what the locational was, right? The locational was look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. But when you're going to take the photographs in the end, you want to see. So what is that? That's receiving information. You know, you're not hunting, you're not reading a book and hunting for quotes and lines and things that will change your life. You're reading the book and you're receiving the information, and whatever lands in your heart, whatever lands in your soul and really changes something within you, you know, you'll highlight. So that's the difference between seeing and looking. It's a very fine line, but once you learn how to kind of be in an environment and see, your eye naturally finds things that are more compelling, finds interesting lighting, you know, and I'll go out in the world and I'll just notice interesting lighting. I'll notice interesting scenes, and other people aren't seeing this. It's an awesome way to experience life, but it's also an awesome way to take amazing images. And what you can start doing, and it might get annoying, but when you're watching movies, you'll start to do it as well. You know, you'll go, oh, this is how they set that light up. Oh, that's why they did that. This is, you know, and it might annoy a partner or a friend, but it's another way of training that muscle. So that is the sort of added elements that we don't think of. Now, questions. So, you know, some of the questions you might have is, oh, thanks, Kyle. This is all fine and well, but, you know, I don't have a creative bone in my body. Well, that's where I say you're in luck, because creativity is a muscle that can be trained. It can be trained by watching the world around you, by learning from the greats and implementing it. And it's just that cycle of learn, practice, teach, you know, which is learn, practice, implement. So it's that cycle repeated again and again, which will just naturally develop the creativity muscle. You know, and the question you might have is, where can I learn more? So I've got a YouTube channel where I bring out some videos that kind of teach you a little bit more about photography. And then there are many other great YouTube channels out online. To be honest with you, to be brutally honest, the course that I did taught me a lot, but like I said, it gave me a taster of all these different elements in photography. And YouTube, more importantly, the people who posted YouTube and spent the time to teach, those people are the people that really taught me a lot of photography. And I spent hours and hours and hours learning. But I would always learn, and then I would go out into the field and I would practice. So that's the important element. You don't want to be, I heard a term the other day, I think it was a zombie entrepreneur, someone who learns, you know, reads all the books, learns all the information, but never takes action. So make sure you're taking action. And I also give free resources in our weekly blog. So I feel like you should really give as much as you can, give as much value as you can. And there's always some resources and action steps in those blogs. And how often should I post? Now, look, I'm sure Nik Cree will have a perspective on this. Everyone will have a perspective on this. I look at it for myself as I'm trying to post as often as possible. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to get data at the moment. I'm trying to get stats, trying to work out when people like to receive my information, when the little audience that I have gathered over the years enjoys to come onto Instagram and go through the streams, go through the content, you know? So I would say early on, post as much as you can, as often as you can, just to get into the routine of posting, but also so that you can learn from people. Hey, I like this image. I preferred when you shot this. I preferred when you took a photograph of your cafe like this, you know? And a lot of times I will tell you a social media secret, although it's probably not a secret. For some reason, people love to see you. They love to see the person behind the brand, you know, that you can, I'll take the most amazing shots of, you know, that I think is beautiful, and I'll post up. And then someone will take a photograph of me. I'm bending over, getting some gear together. Who knows, maybe my crack's showing, you know, not the most flashy photograph taken. And it will go off. People will like it, comment it, because they want to kind of see that. And that's really where I think the good part of online and social media is heading, is they want to see the real. They want to see the true, the person, the human element. Got all these digital things that separate us from the human touch, but they want a bit of human touch in your content. So if you can start with maybe 3 to 5 times a week, that's a good place to start. I'm trying to aim for 2 to 3 times a day. And remember, your content is only alive for a certain amount of time. So you post it. It's not alive for 5 hours, 10 hours, 2 weeks. It's alive for that short amount of time, right? And that's where people are commenting, liking, those sorts of things. That's when you're really raring to go and you're getting into other people's streams. So what is the quality quantity formula? I think it's very, very important to realize you want quality images, and you want to have consistency with your imagery. So as Nik mentioned early on as well, that scroll stopping content, thinking about that scroll stopping content, you want to think about compelling images that you're creating. Okay. But before you have that catalog of compelling images, you want to get consistent, because you're trying to create awareness. You're trying to get people to know you exist, know that your business is running, know that you're active, know that you're out there doing something. That's when they get intrigued and they go, oh, I want to follow this person's journey. I want to see what happens. I've seen, volume 1, volume 2 of their story. I wonder what happens in volume 3, So I've seen them writing. I've seen them preparing to write. When is the book going to be published? I'm a fan now. I'm following. And the final question, what if my phone is not the latest model? And I worked in a camera store for many years, and it's incredible. The people that are the most spec savvy, the most, they know nearly as much as you, sometimes more than you. They ended up being the people that shot the least. They were the people that photographed the least. And I think it's really important to realize it's your skill that creates the quality, not necessarily your gear. So generally, anything past an iPhone 6 is going to take incredible imagery if you know what you're doing. So don't get lost in all the specs, get lost in the magic of your creative expression. And to finish up, I do have a gift. So today I've got $99 off the course, and the course goes a lot deeper into this. I bring other professionals on, and I actually go out in the field and do shoots so that you can really step by step go, okay, this is what he did in this situation. That's what he did in that situation. So for everyone, I've got $99 off for today. And also I'm prepared to give away, is that okay, Nik? Give away a free, yep.
Absolutely.
Give away, yep. Give away to one lucky winner, a free course, or for the first person. I'm wondering how I should do this.
Well, we have got a way of doing it here. So
okay, you tell me.
We've got a spinning wheel here. So if you tell us what it is, then we can spin the wheel. But before we do that, anybody got any questions?
Yes.
So I've found this incredibly fascinating. It's got me. I'm just disappointed that my iPhone is sitting on a stand here, that I can't use it, so it's videoing at the moment. but some incredibly helpful tips there. Anyone got any questions there about their photography or anything for Kyle?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're doing some video photography, like I go into the river every morning and take video scenes of the birds flying and the pelicans, and what's the best tip when you're trying to do like short videos of the birds?
Yeah, so video, you think about the person's attention. Professionally, I'm shooting videos that are 10 seconds to 30 seconds, so not these 2-minute to 5-minute videos. So ideally, if you can, there are such things as video apps where you can edit videos on your phone. And that's where you can actually get a shot of maybe like a panning shot of the lake, right? And then you can get a wide shot of the birds on the trees. Then you get up close and then that action shot of the trees flying. So then you've got a couple scenes, because that's a lot more interesting than, you kind of running up and taking a shot in one long shot. You've got 2 or 3 scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No problems. And I'd also look for a stabilizer, because people don't enjoy shaky shots. So if you can get like something, like how we showed you that hand holding like formula, you can use that, bring your elbows in, move pretty smooth. And that's where it actually creates a little bit more interest. Shaky, poor audio is the number one thing why people switch off videos. Audio is number one killer for videos. If your audio is poor, no thanks. And shaky videos is right up there.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions, feedback, comments?
No questions? Tiger?
No,
you're on
can't hear
mute.
you yet. Let's see if we can give you the ask to unmute button. There you go.
Thanks, Nick. Just a quick question. Excellent content, Kyle. Thank you. What are your recommendations for a Play Store app to extend or compress videos to send between mobile phones? You know how you might get a large file?
Yep. So the video app that I use, and I think Nick will probably have a better option here, is UCut. And I know that's for Play Store, but I'm sure Apple will have a version as well. And then in that one, you can actually choose how, like, you know, so 1080, you can choose the different qualities that you want. And then it also gives you the size, which is really good. So you're not compressing it and then working out the size. It gives you it live as you're going. So UCut is and also actually Snapseed is the editing software that I use, which is just incredible. Snapseed. Let's have a look here. I think it's UCut video editor.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you for that. And my second question was, can I please join you on Instagram?
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Yeah. Follow me. I'll follow you back.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tiger.
All right, I've just dropped that link to UCut into chat, so you've got that there.
Thank you.
And I'm just looking for one for the Mac store as well too. So, but I'm sure if you actually search in the Mac store, you will find sort of a heap of tools. So there you go. I can't vouch for this one, but this is one that I found. So I've just dropped that into chat for you as well.
Thank you, Nick.
But a lot of my editing I will do on my computer. I just find the phone screen a little bit small, but I do know people who edit their photos and the videos on the phone, and they've just got fast thumbs.
Plenty of video games, maybe.
I think that's probably what it is. That's one question too, is what about little lenses and things like that for your phone?
Yes.
Do you recommend anything there?
Yes, I do. I've actually got it in the back. Yeah, so you can even get it from Typo. So there's actually like little lenses that you can get it online. The one that I probably suggest is you can get a wide one, which allows you to actually get a lot more in frame. So you can get like, it kind of gives you like a fisheye look. So if you're doing some interesting videos, you can get that one. And then the macro one is really cool. But with the macro one, what you have to realize is it goes to manual focus, because you're basically putting the lens over the electronics. So for you to take a photo that's in focus, you have to move in and out to find out where that sharp focus is. But that gets really interesting, especially if you enjoy shooting flowers and different sort of things.
That's probably what I should be using if I'm taking photos of those insects, those interesting insects in my garden that just end up blurry, or I've got to sort of stand right back and then sort of crop it and cut it.
Yes. Yep, definitely. And the way that works, you have the thing, and it's usually like magnetic, so it basically sticks on. So be careful if you're out in the field and you knock it, because you can lose your lens there. But they're pretty cheap. You've got quite a few different options. You've got ones that are really big, that are, a couple $100, and you got like small ones that are about $50. So yeah.
Nick, I was just wanting to know about green screens.
Green screens.
Green.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What are you wanting to capture?
Special type you should get, or?
Yeah. So I mean, the base premise of a green screen is that if you've got, if you've got a white background, the subject or what you're shooting is going to have white on it. If you've got a black background, there's going to be black hair that's going to get lost. So the reason the color green is chosen is because most humans don't have a lot of green to them. So generally, like there is a certain hue of green that's used, but if you're just wanting to have something like a background put over the top, like kind of like a mid green is fine for that. But you can get them online. You can get a green screen, like background cloth. You can get all that sort of stuff online pretty cheap.
Use just a normal cloth as a background.
Well, yeah. So what are you trying to do, Anne?
It's a video, and beside the video, I have got some products going through.
Okay. So if are you wanting to put the reason for using a green screen is usually you want to overlay like a background, like put a different background. Like, so I've got a virtual background behind me now. So that's usually why you have a green screen. So, like you think of Hollywood, they're not really, jumping between moons, but they've got a green screen behind and then they put those graphics in the background. If you're wanting to overlay products, you can have a white background,
Well, I've got one, and the guy said I had to get a green one.
Okay.
I've done a white one.
Yeah.
And PowerPoint as the products.
Yeah. So what's the color of the products?
Oh, well, they've got no background. They're just all different browns, pinks, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can try a green screen. So you can have a go. You can buy it online, and you can definitely use it. Or you can get different colors. It just depends you just got to think about what color is the product, and you want to get a color that's the most amount of different color. That you want to get a variation between the color of the product.
Well, maybe that's why you wanted a green.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Products, is it?
Yes, I'd say so. Because if you don't have a green product, then the green screen works perfectly.
Okay, sure, I haven't got green. Okay.
Actually, I think the screens that I bought a whole pack of screens. One's green, blue, red, white, and black for all sorts of instances. Unfortunately, none of them work when I wear a shirt like this because I've got every colour in the shirt. So I always find that there are holes in me when I take photos or videos of myself. So.
Next, you'll have to get a Galaxy screen, mate.
I think so, yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, I think that's it. So unless anyone's got any last questions, we're going to, we'll go to the draw there. All right. What else have we got there?
Oh, sorry. One last question, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Tiger.
Is your work purchasable? Can we buy it? Can we commission you to do photographs specific to our industry?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So I've got prints that are available, but pretty much any image. So if you see an image on the Instagram and you go, that's the one that I want, all of them have been shot high resolution cameras, so they can be printed out. So yeah, you can customize, and if you want me to take any shots of anything, let me know. I've got shots that I've had to take for Sydney because Sydney's been in lockdown, and they've asked me to take shots of street scenes in Perth and kind of make it look like Sydney. So yeah, reach out.
Because I just feel you understand the essence of what photography is. It is to capture emotion and the human, interest. So.
Awesome, thanks, mate. I'm glad.
Sounds like it's worth a trip over to Western Australia to go and visit to get some photographs done. When and if we can travel.
Yes. There's a tunnel you can come through. No, I shouldn't tell you that.
I can probably take the boats around the bottom of Australia and back around the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about it. Thanks very much, mate. Good on you.
I've just dropped Kyle's website into chat there, so you can visit that. And I think you've got your Instagram link on your website too, haven't you?
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
So you can find everything there. All right. So tell us about the prize that we've got from you tonight, Kyle.
All right, here we go, drum roll. So the prize is a free course. So free entry to the course. So one times free entry to the course. And to get this prize, you have to, it's the first person. Does that work, Nick?
No, we can do it this way. Why don't we do it this way? So do it your way. Yep.
Okay.
Because this will be different.
Yes. All right. Spanner in the works. So it's the first person to name the 3 points of photographic perfection. So the 3 elements in photographic perfection. Does that work, Nick?
Yeah, that works. I'm thinking now.
Yeah. I'm stalling you. So you can use the chat. Ooh, getting close.
I feel like I haven't been listening to you. I've been entranced visually.
This is a comprehension test, isn't it? If no one gets it, then we've got another way to draw it as well too, but I like this.
They are the subject, the composition, and lighting. Hi.
Yes.
Subject,
1.
composition, lighting.
That was it?
Yep, that's
awesome.
it.
Tiger, you are the winner.
Awesome.
Excellent. How did you remember that?
Well, I just thought what I'd really care to do myself. You'd always look at the subject, you think about the lighting, and you think about how you compose it. So
there you go.
Yep.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations. So that is all yours. So Dave, if you just drop your contact details through to Kyle in a private chat in the chat box there, or if not, well, we can certainly introduce you and share your details to each other as well too. All right. Well, that was an incredibly awesome evening. That photography stuff is just so fascinating. I love it.
Nick, sorry, mate. One quick. I think Olwen's got a question.
Olwen.
Yes, thank you. Hello. Yeah, I do have a question.
Everyone.
Hello. I'm wondering which phones have the best camera, the iPhone or the Android? What do you think?
That's a toughie. I've shot on both, and I think if you don't understand photography, probably go with the iPhone because it really does assist you. It really, their design, their simplicity is amazing. With the Android, you've actually got a lot of manual options that are quite easy. I know the latest iPhones have worked that out, but for a while, the Androids have had manual options where you can actually change the aperture, change the ISO, change the shutter speed. I find that, I guess from a visual point of view, I find that the colors on the iPhones are nicer and more accurate. And I find the Androids seem to be a lot more vibrant, saturated, and I think have a bit more of a warmer temperature. And you find this in cameras. You'll find that a Canon camera has more of a red hue, a Nikon camera has more of a warm hue. Fuji colors are actually by far the best, and Canon colors are a bit behind. And Sony cameras really struggle with skin tone. They really pink it out. So hopefully I don't get any hate from any camera companies there.
It's like the Ford Holden debate. Well, I've got a Samsung Note 10, and I must say I love that. Although, it's interesting the sort of 3D photos you can get with the iPhones are really cool. So I don't think you can do that on Samsung. No.
But it will most likely come to it. I mean, that one of the biggest reasons for getting phones these days is the camera on it. You think for a lot of people, so if you're shooting one of those two, I know Google Pixel actually really has awesome cameras as well.
Yeah, amazing what you can do. I started in the film days when you had to know how to take photos back then, and now, now it's like anyone can be a photographer with the phone.
Yeah. But remember, skill is everything.
Yes, it does make a difference still, even with the for sure.
I have to say that if you're looking for a phone that takes awesome night shots, Huawei. A friend of mine had a Huawei phone, and it was just incredible. The clarity of lights and things at nighttime on just a Huawei phone, just we just couldn't compare to my iPhone. Just amazing. It was like it was taken by a proper camera. Well, I say proper camera. They are proper cameras, but yeah.
May I ask which model it was, Nick?
I've got no idea, actually. It was whatever the latest model was back then. So it was a couple of years ago. But they've obviously come a bit further since there.
And then the two biggest struggles with phones are like printing, like and getting that quality up close. Like so high-res is printing up close and night shots like that, you know, so if the Huawei does a good job, like that's something that sets it apart from every other one because phone cameras struggle with night shots. Cool.
All right. Well, there we go. We're sort of just past the hour there. So everyone enjoy that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, hopefully there's some good stuff there. So, well, if you do want to watch it again, it'll be up on YouTube tomorrow, up on the YouTube channel tomorrow. So if you want to go back through and sort of try and remember what the answer to that question was that Kyle asked, it'll be all in there. Or you can just go and give Tiger a ring because he knows. So yeah, so if you go to the best way to get that is the Smash Go YouTube channel. Just go and subscribe, hit the little bell beside the subscribe button. When you hit the bell, you got an email reminder to let you know the video is up there on YouTube. So if you're running a YouTube channel yourself, that's a good thing to tell people to do, is to hit the bell, because if they do that, then they're going to get an email notification when your video is up online. All right, so that's it for tonight. What an awesome session there. Thanks, Kyle, for coming along and sharing your experience and your brilliance there. I'm sure I'm going to see a lot of us out there with our phones wandering around sort of composing, looking at lighting and subjects and leading lines and all of these sort of things there. I know I will be. I'll be looking at the world in a whole different way. So that's it for tonight. Look forward to seeing you next week on Tuesday again, same time. So we'll catch you then. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nik Cree, spelled Nikree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.